This is a WDBJ7 on WZBJ24 special presentation. Black History, Voices of Virginia, sponsored by Member One Federal Credit Union.
Good evening and welcome back to the second half hour of our Black History Month special, Voices of Virginia. I'm Tanisha Jackson.
And I'm Michaela Shelton. Here on WZBJ24, we are going to continue to highlight and celebrate Black history and culture in our hometowns.
Now, the last half hour, we watched stories on historic Roanoke figure Virginia Lee, heard from historian Jordan Bell, to preserving the Big Lick Cemetery and Ivy Cliff. We continue that trend here with this next story, where we take a look at Lynchburg's first Black fire chief, William A. Anderson. WDBJ7's Amaya Howard has the story.
In 1964, William A. Anderson broke the barrier when he was hired as the first African-American firefighter. As he moved up the ranks in 1975, Anderson became the first Black chief of the Lynchburg Fire Department.
I think it's indicative of the progress that our nation has made. And I think this is the greatest nation in the world.
Chief Anderson was always about the job. Many described him as humble and a man with integrity, so humble that he didn't want to speak about his accomplishments on camera. But his son, Jared Anderson, says his dad taught him to be a hard-working and honest man.
He had a light side to him, but he was more serious. He was about handling business, and I was a jokester, so sometimes we would go at it, but it was always a lot of love.
As a Black man in the 1970s, having a high title came with higher standards from the community and workforce.
Like, I don't want to say they were looking for you to fail, but I mean, the odds were against you.
Anderson says his dad looked towards God to steer him through his decision-making. 1 year into his new position, Lynchburg annexed a total of 25 square miles from Bedford and Campbell County, increasing the demand for fire protection. To answer these needs, Chief Anderson placed more engines at 2 stations in the city.
With his position, he was able to bring in some diversity. I know he gave some opportunities to some African Americans that might not have otherwise had the opportunity to catch a break, get a job.
I was proud that I was selected as one of his candidates to represent the Lynchburg Fire Department.
In 1982, retired master firefighter Jack Williams was recruited as a junior crew member, hand-selected by Chief Anderson.
I was so excited that he was giving me the opportunity of a lifetime to become a Lynchburg firefighter.
Throughout his time as chief, Anderson became a role model for the African American community.
So many people had so much respect for him because the way he carried himself and conducted himself in the department, he always made sure that the communities were safe. He made sure that his department was safe.
In the early 1980s, Chief Anderson required all department members to be trained to the minimum level of emergency medical technician or EMT. He later establishes the city's first ambulance advanced life support program, which remains in force today. After 31 years of service, Chief William Anderson retired in 1995, and it was hard for him to leave behind the career he built.
It would have been the greatest temptation to stay in here.
Why is that?
Because if I had thought that it was going to be an issue that was going to continue to bode controversy, then I'm very concerned for our department, but I think we're well on the right track.
He is now a pastor in Lynchburg at First Church of Jesus.
I think he wanted to spend more time with family and focus a lot of his sights on his role as the pastor of the church.
Friends and family of Chief Anderson are proud to look back at the legacy he's leaving on the community.
He earned that position. It wasn't just given to him. He earned that. And I truly admire him for that.
In Lynchburg, Amaya Howard, WDBJ7.
Well, now our journey through Black history takes us to Danville, known as the last capital of the Confederacy. This area of Virginia had a long and intense journey for civil rights, from the summer of '63 demonstrations to the arrests and attacks during Bloody Monday. But through all this strife grew strength and determination. Which leads us to Wendell Scott, a name that stands out to many across Southside Virginia and even to the world. But just a few decades ago, that was not the case. I spoke with his grandson, who tells us how Wendell's determination led him to become the first African American to win a race at NASCAR's highest level.
It is certainly one of the greatest underdog stories to ever exist.
Wendell Scott was born in Danville in 1921.
So his prerequisite learning came from his father, who was a mechanic and a chauffeur for the two wealthiest families of the time in Danville that shared the first automobile. A lot of people don't realize that that's how he got his kind of interest in motorsports.
After serving in World War II as a mechanic for 3 years, he started his racing journey at the Danville Fair. Though Scott hit many roadblocks due to racism and discrimination, his talent and perseverance led him to the NASCAR Grand National race in Jacksonville, Florida, where he defied all odds.
As he was racing around the track, he noticed his name disappeared from the scoreboard. Once he got in first place, they took everybody's name off of the scoreboard.
He received the first place prize money, but they refused to give him the trophy.
The thing that was done at that time is the winner would get to kiss the beauty queen, and at that time, the fear is that it would cause a race riot if he was brought into victory lane and treated the same way that the other drivers were treated when they won.
But that only fueled his determination. Scott continued to set records and even ranked 11th in the nation in 1965. But it wasn't until 2021 that NASCAR presented the Scott family with the Jacksonville 200 trophy Wendell won 58 years ago. Wendell's grandson says though he's not here to see the moment, he's glad his grandfather is finally getting the recognition he deserved.
It was bittersweet because it's something that I wish that he and my grandmother could have experienced together. But I was proud of the progress that was made.
Although his drive came to a stop in 1990 due to cancer, his legacy continues to live on through the Wendell Scott Foundation his family started in 2010. Then, in 2015, Wendell Scott was inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
We oftentimes are asked, why do we not have the appearance of being more upset about things that happened in my grandfather's career? And it's not that we don't probably harbor any of those feelings, but he taught us to lean towards who we are in totality. And if we can do that in moments of crisis, it will lead to moments of triumph.
And they have seen many moments of triumph in recent years. Pixar used him as inspiration for a character in Cars 3, and now the director of Creed 2 is working on a project about Scott. An entire exhibit is also dedicated to him at the New College Institute in Martinsville, and a Wendell Scott Museum is coming to Danville. Now, don't go anywhere, because coming up on our Voices of Virginia special, E&N Soaps and More is stopping by to show us their latest lineup after the break.
Well, welcome back to WZBJ7's Black History Month special, Voices of Virginia. The special has been dedicated to learning more about Black History Month and highlighting leaders in our area, but we also want to show some love to Black business owners in our hometowns.
That's right, and today we're here with E&N Soaps and More, and we have Naomi Carter. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about your business and how it started.
Yeah, so actually my husband got us started. Our first date 2 years ago was making soap. And so I went to his apartment and he had like 100 bars of soap everywhere. And I didn't take him seriously. I thought that he was just saying that he made soap, and clearly he made soap. So yeah, he taught me on our first date, and that's kind of how E&N started.
Yeah, and have actually been on our show before, back in 2023. Has anything changed since you've been here?
Yes, so I've focused a lot more on what our clientele was kind of wanting versus just kind of making what I liked, which is very hard when you own a business. But what a lot of people were looking for was the high-end designer like dupe fragrances, but as we know, African American skin is more dry and more sensitive. So I wanted to find good fragrances that worked for us with a formula that also worked for us.
Right, that's wonderful. And how has it been kind of navigating this business, you know, in this realm being Black owned?
Yeah, I think it's been very interesting. I feel like I've learned a lot, and I've been given certain opportunities that I might not have been given, like coming on the news and doing podcasts and things like that. But I've also had to learn how to remain professional and also be seen in a positive light, and kind of you take on the model of inspiring people, and that's kind of a lot. So I'm trying to like learn how to navigate that at the same time.
Yeah. And you said your best selling was your body butter. So I'm going to try this. So as we try this, I kind of want you to talk about how not only are you a Black business owner, but you are also working with your husband. So how is that dynamic, and how has that been?
It's very interesting because he's a trucker, so he's gone most of the time. So he does a lot of like the finances and the work on the back end, but I actually make all the products that you see. I come up with the designs, the formulas. Recently, from last year, we changed the soap formula and the scrub formula. So I've been busy working on that and kind of coming up with new products as the community has a need for them.
Talk about how y'all make these products and what goes into them.
Yeah, so I use all natural ingredients. We do vegan skincare. So I use a lot of like African shea butter. I get it sourced from Ghana. I'm using, avocado oils, apricot oil, sweet almond oil, things that you know, and oils that you could pick out in a store and go, oh, I know what that is. We're doing what we didn't have the opportunity to do 100 years ago, 200 years ago. So to be a Black business owner is incredible. To have that privilege is incredible. And I would tell anyone else to just focus on your dreams and keep doing what you want to do. If you don't believe in you, then nobody else will believe in you.
So again, you can purchase these products and more by visiting ennsoaps.com. And you can follow them on TikTok and Facebook to keep up with the latest pop-ups and new releases at ENN Soaps and more.
All right, thank you so much again, Naomi, for stopping by and sharing your story and your products with us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Well, audience, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we have a delicious treat for you. We're talking to Sweets by Shanice after this quick break.
We're continuing to highlight Black businesses in our hometowns, and right now we have Shanice Jones, the owner of the delicious Sweets by Shanice. Welcome back, and thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, now you started out baking from your home in 2019, and then you opened up your shop in 2021. So tell us about your business and how that came about.
So I've been continuing to bake. And I have continued to do custom orders. Last year I had some crazy milkshakes. This year I've been focusing more on the custom orders and doing some work for companies like Kabuki and Chocolate Paper.
Oh, wow, hitting the big businesses.
Yeah.
And so talk to us about what it's been like being the owner, of a Black-owned business.
It's tough. It has been a rocky road, especially starting out because I didn't go to school for any of it. I just learn as I go, from the paperwork to the math to delivering, picking up, all of that stuff. So it's just been difficult, but I'm so happy that I did it. I tell you, I fight every day, every single day with running the business alone.
And you really have to learn like the ins and outs, especially because it's just you.
Yes, everything from inventory to baking, and then I'm also in culinary school. So I'm learning new pastries and how to bake them and the science behind everything now. So it's fun. It's still fun.
Yeah. And speaking of pastries, you bought some treats with us. What are these cookies?
Yes, so I brought 4 different types of cookies that I make. I have banana pudding at the top, and then we have red velvet. We also have strawberry crunch cookies, and this one is like a spiced caramel cookie.
Wow. They look delicious and sound even better.
Yes, and these are at Twisted Track, the brewery. So they sell these for me in there, as well as online at my bakery.
you know, for anyone who is aspiring to operate a Black-owned business, do you have any advice for them?
The advice, I get this question a lot, but just don't give up. Like, it's so tough. When I tell you, sometimes I cry on the bakery floor, I do, but it's so rewarding. Just don't give up and ask for help. If you need help, there are people and resources out there that will help out small businesses like ours. Yeah.
Awesome. And so if you would like to try Sweets by Shanice, she is located at the corner of 5th and Campbell in downtown Roanoke. And you can customize your orders online at sweetsbyshanice.com. And make sure to follow her on Instagram and Facebook at Sweets by Shanice. And thank you so much again for stopping by today, Shanice.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Of course, anytime. Welcome back. Throughout this special, we've been celebrating Black history, businesses, and culture. And now we'd like to share a special poetry reading from Roanoke Youth Poet Laureate Alani Spencer. Take a listen.
For those who can only trace their history back here, for those whose family only knows war and bondage and fire hoses and treetops, for those who only know suffering and peace is as foreign as English being force-fed to them at the end of a knife, for those whose tether has snapped, for whom no point on the map draws them near, for those who don't know their great-grandparents' names, for those whose sense of belonging has been lost somewhere between the Gold Coast and Jamestown Harbor, for those whose body mourns for broken backs and blistered feet, for those who long for distant shores they've never seen. I see you. I too daydream about returning to the place my ancestors once roamed, of looking out at the horizon and realizing this is home. For those who feel a song crescendoing deep in their chests, their veins like guitar strings ready to be plucked. For those who have bongos hidden in the dips of their hips. For those who have mountains weaved into their hair, rivers cascading down their backs. For those who have sunlight underneath their fingernails. For those who have storybooks unfolding in their eyes. For those who hear the gentle whispers that tickle the back of the neck. For those who know how to make a home within their own flesh.
That was For Everyone Who Doesn't Know Where They Come From by Alani Spencer. To hear more about Alani's work, you can visit our website.
And we'll be right back after this quick break.
Thank you so much for tuning in to WZBJ24's Black History Month special, Voices of Virginia. This special was dedicated to not only understand and learn about our history, but raise the voices of today.
And we hope that everything you saw today educated you, inspired you, and brought you joy. Good night, and thank you for learning with us.
Thank you for watching Black History, Voices of Virginia, sponsored by Member One Federal Credit Union.